Hey guys, how's it going? How's your beautiful day going on this beautiful day? Today it is time to grade every head coaching hire from this head coaching cycle. Every head coaching vacancy has now been filled, so I am going to grade each one from worst to first. The first head coaching hire we are going to is Mike McCarthy from the Steelers. I gave this a D. I don't think this is necessarily the worst move in terms of team success. I think that Mike McCarthy is going to be able to bring out the best in whatever team is put together next year, whether they do have Aaron Rodgers or they don't, which is the exact reason why this is such a bad hire. I think the team will be as good as it can be next year, and Mike McCarthy is going to get the most out of this team. But what Mike McCarthy is he's not really a culture setter. I don't think he's the greatest culture setting head coach, and that's what this team needs, especially going into a real rebuild era that they absolutely need to go into. This team is just going to continue to go in the same circle that it has been going into. They're going to be back as a borderline playoff team and a very terrible draft pick, and it's just going to look very similar to what it has been for a lot of years at this point. The next coach is the Miami Dolphins hire, Jeff Hafley. I gave him a C-. My main problem with this move is just I don't think he's going to be here in a couple years. This entire regime of the Dolphins is kind of falling apart right now, and they're going to have to be a new offense. They're going to have a new quarterback. The offensive infrastructure is going to have to look different. Defensively, I don't know what the Dolphins are going to be next year. At the end of the year, they were a really good run defense unit, but I don't know if Jeff Hafley is going to be able to get the most out of them. Without Micah Parsons, the Packers defense just looked absolutely horrible. It was one of the worst units in football. Jeff Hafley was not able to get the most out of that group that I think he could have. And you're coming to a Dolphins team who does not have a main guy either. They have a bunch of relative talent on this defense, and he has to get the most out of it. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, but we know he's a defensive mind, so maybe he can. The bigger problem is the rest of this team just doesn't look like it's put together yet, and I don't feel he's going to be able to get the most out of this team, and he'll probably be out of this job in a couple of years. To be honest, for the Dolphins, I think that this is probably the only move that they could have really made. I mean, they're not really set up to make a better move than this. Not a lot of coaches want to come to this system right now, especially with the dead cap that they'd have to deal with Tua. So at the end of the day, this is probably the only move that the Dolphins could have really made at their head coaching position. The next up is the Browns, who I gave a C for hiring Todd Monken. I do like the offensive play caller move for the Browns. I think that Todd Monken is a great mind to bring to this offense, and he really does seem like a good head coaching personality. He's going to bring a certain locker room presence to this team and to this young team that does need it, but he really doesn't have a lot to work with. This offensive infrastructure is terrible. The dead cap that you have to deal with Deshaun Watson is going to force this offensive line to get worse than it was this year, and it was horrible last year. The offensive weapons are not really going to get better unless you draft really well. Obviously, you have Quinton Judkins and Harold Fannin, and maybe you think Shador is the guy, but that there's just not enough in this offense to even make it a comparable group next year. And if Todd Monken can change it into a good group next year, that'd be great. But we know this defense is going to be good. We know the defense is going to be a top tier unit next season because Jim Schwartz is not going anywhere. But I just don't think it matters who you brought in here as the offensive play caller, whether it was Todd Monken or somebody else. I just don't think that this team is in the position to look very good next year. Next up is the Cardinals hiring Mike LaFleur. I gave this one a C+. I think as far as a mind goes, he's going to be really good. We'll see how good he is as a head coach. Obviously, we haven't seen that yet. Again, Mike LaFleur doesn't really have much to work with the Cardinals either. We don't know if Kyler Murray is going to be here next year, and if he is, we don't know what the ceiling is for this offense. They just don't have good infrastructure for the Cardinals, so this is a rough system for Mike LaFleur to go into, and they just have much bigger problems than their head coach right now. And again, Mike LaFleur might not be there in a couple years because he has not much to work with. I'm going to start getting into the B's now. Las Vegas hired Clint Kubiak, and that is my first B grade. Right now, the question is, can he be a good head coach? The question with a lot of people right now. But I really like the fact that he is a really good young offensive mind to go with this team. They're going to probably be bringing in Fernando Mendoza. They're going to have Ashton Jeanty, Brock Bowers. They need to focus on this offensive line in the offseason. And if they can bring in a really good offensive line, Ashton Jeanty with a better offensive line, with Brock Bowers blocking, and a really young quarterback, I just think this could be a very fantastic hire for the Raiders. It just matters how they handle this offseason. At the end of the day, I think Clint Kubiak is a very young offensive mind, so I think this is a good hire for them. Our second B hire is going to be Kevin Stefanski. As long as there's no drama that happens with Kevin Stefanski, I think this is a fantastic move. He's going to be able to get the most out of this offense, and hopefully he'll be able to get the most out of Michael Penix, who I think is a good pocket quarterback, and that is exactly what Kevin Stefanski likes. He likes the pocket quarterbacks. And the Falcons have the offensive infrastructure for Kevin Stefanski to work with. Their defense has been good, so I think all they need is a decent defensive play caller, and their defense is going to be good. I think this could be a really good team next year, as long as Kevin Stefanski isn't a cancer in the locker room when he gets here. They'll be perfectly fine. The only reason that he's not an A is because of the drama problems that he had with the Browns. As long as there's no drama problems, they are perfectly fine. Our last B is going to be Robert Saleh for the Tennessee Titans. The defensive infrastructure for the Titans is solid. They've had a decent defense for a long time. Robert Saleh, I think, will be able to get the most out of the talent on this defense. And I think he's just a really good culture setter. Obviously, I've said it before. I think that he was scapegoated over there. I think he was a good coach. I think he deserved to be the head coach of the Jets throughout the rest of that season, and he's going to come into this Tennessee team and really be a culture setter. He is a very good personality to have in the locker room, and I think that's going to be perfect for what the Titans need right now. They're a really young team. They need a culture setter, and that's exactly what Robert Saleh can bring, along with good defensive play calling. Now they need to hit a home run with their offense, and they did. They got Brian Dable. He's going to be a very good culture setter for the offensive side of the football, which I think is perfect for the Tennessee Titans. I give the Bills an A- for hiring Joe Brady. I honestly, the more I've thought about this head coaching hire, the more I've loved the offensive continuity that they're going to have, not having to bring in a new offensive system this year, and the defense did need revitalizing. I think that the talent isn't the best on the Bills defense, but I also don't think Sean McDermott was getting the most out of the talent that they had on the defensive side of the ball. I do think that it was good to move on from Sean McDermott. I've seen a lot of Bills fans or fans in general talk about, if you were going to fire Sean McDermott, why the hell would you hire Joe Brady? Because we're just running the same thing. I disagree, because I think keeping offensive continuity, and you're getting a new manager in there. I think that Sean McDermott had a lot of problems with managing the game at certain points in his time with the Buffalo Bills. And I think that Joe Brady coming in here, we don't know how good he will be at that head coaching stuff, but I think it is time to try someone new at that head coaching stuff. You need to try something new with your defensive coordinator. I do not think that Sean McDermott was getting the most out of this defense. We'll see how good Jim Leonard is, because he is their defensive coordinator. I don't know much about him yet, but we will see. But I think that Joe Brady is a really, really good guy to put in that position, because he already knows the team, he already knows the offense, and he already has some continuity within this team. At an A, I had John Harbaugh. This is essentially perfect for the Giants, in my opinion, because you are giving a young team a culture setter, a guy who can set this team straight, who can get their minds right, and they needed a winner, a seasoned winner in here to really show these guys what it's like to be a winner. The one problem with Harbaugh right now for the Giants is that he's not a play caller on either side of the ball. He's a CEO head coach, and they don't have a play caller hired yet. So they're kind of just scrapping around for one that is still left over. And I don't think that's the best idea for them. I don't think that's the greatest for them, because if they do get somebody who's not very good in there, it could really be bad for this team. But John Harbaugh himself, I think, was a really good hire and a good idea for the New York Giants. And our last hire of the day, Jesse Minter, I gave an A+, absolutely perfect. They needed a defensive play caller. They needed one of the best, and they got the best defensive play caller and defensive mind of the entire head coaching cycle. They absolutely needed it. And you need pass rush, of course, but I think that this team has talent on the defensive side of the ball, and they weren't getting the most of it with Zachary Orr. And I think that Jesse Minter is going to get the most out of this defense. And you know the offense is going to be fine because you have a two-time MVP level quarterback on the other side of the ball. Lamar Jackson is going to be fine on that offensive side of the ball. Obviously, you need to get a good offensive play caller there, but at the end of the day, you're fine with your head coach not necessarily being an offensive guy. We don't know technically how he's going to be as a head coach, but the fit for this head coaching hire is better than any other head coaching hire of this entire cycle. He's just absolutely exactly what the Ravens needed. That is it for me grading every NFL coaching hire of this head coaching cycle. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. If you want to see any of my other NFL videos, just go look at my channel. I've made a lot throughout this season and throughout the playoffs, and I will see you guys in the next video.